Okay. Hello, Phoenix Risers. This is Melissa K. Range, your hostess of the Phoenix Rising podcast. So grateful to be here with you today. And today I have a very special guest. I will admit I haven't known her very long, but I am so excited to introduce you to her because I have had a wonderful experience. And what popped into my head after my experience was she needs to be on my podcast. So, without further ado, and thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for being here. We're live on Facebook, and also we are recording this for my regular weekly podcasts that I do every week, pretty much. Sometimes I miss, but sometimes I'm like my life, like this month, is really crazy. But I'm so grateful to be here with Cindy today to talk about her Phoenix Rising experience. So, welcome, Cindy. Thank you for being here. And pronounce your last name for us because I didn't know how to say it.
Yes. Hi, it's Cindy Pedrotty.
Okay, great. That's easy.
It's easy, yeah.
So tell us, Cindy, how did we meet? And it's been a short and sweet little time we've known each other. So
Right. Well, we were at a networking event and, we both kind of gravitated toward each other right away. After we heard what each other did on our 30-minute talk and there was just an instant attraction to what we both do with our life and what we have chosen to do. And I love it. I love when that happens.
yes, it definitely was synchronistic because I definitely know that I am going to be visiting with you a lot in the coming months and am referring people left and right. So tell us a little bit about your pre-Phoenix Rising story, like what your life was like, how you were raised, and things like that. And let's go back in time a little bit.
Yeah, I had a pretty normal um upbringing. I didn't grow up in any kind of religious home. I actually got lucky enough to move into a subdivision that had a church in it, and I would take myself to church. And that's how I met a bunch of my friends that I am still friends with now. And so, it just, I grew up in suburbia. I went to a Protestant church and it was pretty, I met my husband, instantly started dating him. We got married, had 3 children, raised our children in church, and that just fell apart. We totally grew apart from each other, and that was a little easier to recognize than my second husband because when you meet someone so young, we were, in our young 20s, it makes sense that you are looking for different things in your life. But so then, we got divorced and I was just out and trying to figure my life out. I was working in banking, and that is so not me. I am not a money person as far as that goes. It wasn't a good fit for me, but so then I met my second husband and we got married and we started 2 businesses. And so we were running a trucking company and we had a machine shop. And, ups and downs, all kinds of, life challenges, but then he left and it really caught me off guard. And that really kind of shook my whole world. Like I didn't even know where to turn, where to go. I mean, I for one thing had made God too small to handle my problems. And so then I just started trying to figure out weirdly how to fall out of love with someone. I didn't know how to fall. I knew how to fall in love with someone, but I didn't know how to fall out of love. And so then I found Psyche, and Psyche is Bruce Lipton's modality of retraining your brain and finding new pathways to learn how to cope with your life better. Because a lot of the stuff that we do, we've learned how to do before we were even 7. We don't even know how come we're doing some of the things we believe in. So
And
I
wait,
was
let me interject for just a second. Like when you were younger, did you see some of those things before, well, age 7 into your early teen years that were playing out in those relationships? Did you see some of that as you were studying this psyche, or had you come to a realization? You said God was too small. So,
well, yeah, because I was, I don't know. I just felt like a funny looking redhead little girl. I always, I was bullied a lot. I was always kind of the one that was like, oh, I was odd looking, a lot of, I don't know, I felt bullied and everything. And so, yes, I figured out I don't like to be alone. I have a real issue with being alone, and it did feel like my child just needed to be healed. My inner child just was not set up to cope with what I was going through at all.
mm,
And it was really causing me a lot of trouble,
mm,
as far as I didn't want to go on antidepressants. I didn't want to um I wanted more a holistic. I wanted to figure out myself. I didn't want to mask anything. And I had a lot of conversations with God. I was not happy. I started buying different books and learning how to pray differently. I don't think we are ever really taught how to talk to God, for one thing, and to how to open up to what he wants for us, or what the universe wants for us, or spirit wants for us. So yeah, it was a huge journey for me to open up and expand my consciousness to accept some of the things, other than the pre prayers that we were taught, and these are the rules for your life, and hopefully nothing bad ever happens that you question things like that. But it did for me.
right. And so the way you were raised, was it spirituality that was really a part of your life, or it was religion and it was following the dogma and the doctrine of religion?
Well, and it was never in my family. So, I mean, every time that I went to church, I took myself to church.
Mm.
And I just did it really for the social, because I mean, that's where I met my friends, and that's where I felt safe and comfortable. And yes, it's really easy to you know, quote Bible verses and sing the songs, but they have to actually mean something to you. And I was very spiritual. I always have been, and I think that has helped me with my journey, because I wasn't so stuck on the religion part as I was knowing that there's something out there that I wasn't grasping. So, it's been all my whole life journey really on that aspect. But since I have got the harmonic egg, and so many spiritual, wonderful people have come into my life that have taught me so much more, and just opened up my eyes, and just that you know, it is good. Life is good. There is a lot of love, and people, and if you do keep your eyes open, you're not alone.
That's true. So take us back a little bit. Did you, once you got divorced and then you met your second husband, and were you still a part of that church and still kind
Yeah.
of, okay, so you were still in that. Was there any time when you were married to your second husband that your spirituality started to open up, or was it really when you started the psyche work?
Um, well, we had some issues, and I was talking to God about what he wanted for me and my husband to do as a couple. To, I had wanted to do a ministry together with him, I just didn't really know he was not who he said he was.
Mm.
So, like I thought he had cheated on me. We had gotten through it. We had figured out how to become a stronger couple. And I wanted to help other couples do that. But I didn't really realize he had never left that girl. And so when he left, he went right to her. So that's a hard thing to deal with. It's a really hard thing to deal with. And the Psych-K was a wonderful tool for me to try to figure out that, but it wasn't enough. And I was really teeter-tottering on just being so angry and just not even liking how my life path was going. So my girlfriend, she's like, well, I'm going to let you take my appointment in the harmonic egg. And she says, I'm using it for pain. I had a car wreck and my neck is so much pain. And it's the only thing that really gives me a lot of relief. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I was hiking and I was having a conversation with God while I was hiking. And he told me, he said, I told you I have you. I told you to have hope. And I could just hear it in my head just so clearly. And I'm like, okay, I will. And then the next day I found out about the egg. And he said, and I don't know, the second I tried the egg, I just had such a good experience in there that I knew there was something to it. I knew that I needed to bring it to other women. That's exactly that popped in my head. Other women going through what I'm going through need this. Because I didn't know how to let go. Everyone kept saying, you need to let all that go. You need to let all that go. I didn't know how to.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to. And no one really tells you how to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did the egg, and it's in Denver. So when I went home, it just kept on my mind. But what it did is it started me on a journey of trying to learn how to meditate and to calm my mind and to do it. And so, I started experimenting with YouTube videos on how to get to that floaty space that the egg puts you in, because it's an amazing feeling and it's very empowering. And then I, brought it to St. Louis.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And before we get to some of that, because I want to share with the listeners, of course, what my experience was in the egg, but go back a little bit because I've never had anybody on the podcast talking about Psych-K. How did you hear about Psych-K? And then you started to explain a little bit of it, changing your mindset, but just tell us a little bit more about that, because you still do Psych-K, right?
I do Psych-K. I tried to do Psych-K on myself and with people at least weekly, because it is a skill. And what I like about it is, actually what I love about it is when you have a traumatic experience and you really it's causing you not to flourish in your life, you can go through Psych-K and through prompting and words. You can make a new pathway. You can figure out how not to be that victim. It's a little hard to explain. It's sort of like buying a gym membership, thinking you're going to go every day. You go every day for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you're not going. Why am I not going? I don't understand why I'm not going. So there's just something in your left and right brain that is not communicating. And so, you can train your brain to say, I really do like exercise. I really do know that it's good for my body. I really do feel better after I exercise. And so we kind of work with these phrases and a lot of muscle testing to get your left and right hemispheres talking and flowing. And it also, tackles everything from addiction. Where does your addiction come from? Where is the root core? It's all root core. It's all um, trying to figure out where you're not thinking clearly, or it's not even thinking because it's your subconscious brain. You don't even know why you're doing some of the things you're doing, but um, we have such a disconnect in our relationships with our spouses or our loved ones or our family members, that we don't understand why in the world do we overreact to this, or why are we triggered for this. And we're just trying to, for one thing, make you love yourself, okay with yourself, be okay with your decisions, and just try to get you in sync. It's fascinating. It's hard to explain. I'm not real good at explaining it because I talk about the harmonic egg 99% of my life, and Psych-K is I don't have to ever explain it because the people I do Psych-K with actually are pretty into it. So, but yes, I will get someone who comes in and will say, I procrastinate on everything. And so we'll try to figure out how to tell your body not to procrastinate. And so it has some really good life altering, really positive changes that work well with people. Right. But my problem is when I first learned it, I went through 4 of the 5 classes. I still have one more to do, the very high master level. It's you have to, it's energy work. You're putting yourself out there, and you're it was hard for me. I was not in that space. And so now I'm really loving and embracing Psych-K now that I feel confident, now that I feel like I can do it and help people with it. It's energized me back. It's called me back. But yeah, there for a while, I couldn't, there was a block. I don't know what it was. I wasn't ready.
Yes.
So yes, I haven't advertised it much, but I was just looking at YouTube videos. And so, of course, you hit Joe Dispenza and you see Greg Braden, and then you see Bruce Lipton. And Bruce Lipton, he was saying, you are not stuck. You are not a slave to your genes. You are not, you can change anything you want to. Your mind is powerful. Your body is powerful. And I just gravitated to it. I loved all of it. And so then I just did a deep dive into all of it.
So you like that kind of started your whole spiritual journey into, yes. Okay. And because, when you were speaking to me the other day, in my mind, I was thinking, boy, she has not been on this spiritual journey for that long. And you have transformed so much in the short amount of time. And I don't know if that's the egg and the Psych-K, or if it's just you're in that stage of life where you're just really hightailing it to, this really spiritual place. Because when I was speaking with you, it was like we were speaking the same language. And I feel like I've been on this journey about 12 years and you haven't been on it that long. So
years. And that's why all the people that I'm meeting are so exciting. And everyone, I just get tingles just that flush my body, because I finally feel like I am where I'm supposed to be. And I never felt that. So that is such a gift that I've been looking for my whole life.
Right. So take us back a little bit. So you were in this space, your husband had left, and I know that you said that he was just gone one day, and it was like your whole world was changed in that moment. And then you started with the Psych-K work, and
well, there was a year I didn't even hardly get out of bed. So no, it wasn't that fast.
Right.
It wasn't that fast. Heartbreak is real.
Yeah.
Grief is so real. And it is hard to understand. It's hard to deal with. It's hard to, I mean, divorce is a death, but so are a lot of people. Have lost a lot of people the last couple of years, and a lot of people have been called home. And I deal with a lot of grief. I help a lot of people who don't. uh, it's hard. It doesn't ever go away. You just need it to kind of ease up a little bit sometimes.
Right. So
Yes, it took me 2 years to even start my journey. So, and I was still trying to figure out where I wanted to land, because I had two other businesses that I was still a part of, but I wanted something for me, and I really, really, really wanted to help people. So,
wow. So in that time, and I always ask this to my guests, what is a synchronistic event that stands out for you about how you knew, like, oh my gosh, something was orchestrated, and there's probably many of them, but give us an example of a synchronistic event that you encountered or experienced that made a profound impact on you.
well, the biggest, I mean, the biggest thing that changed my whole life was actually hearing about God's voice, and knowing it was God's voice. And, like, I mean, I wanted to fall down on the ground. Like, I mean, it was so intense and life altering for me. But then everything else from there have been such little baby steps that are so cool. Like, asking God a question and then having just a feather fall from my kitchen sky. Like, how could there be a feather in my kitchen? And how do you not know that's an answered prayer? So yes, so then I started seeing all kinds of things like that. Like, I look outside, I'll say, okay, God, I don't think I can do this podcast, or I'm too nervous, this is way out of my comfort zone, I can't do this. And then there'll be a hawk on my driveway just staring at my house. I'm like, okay, I got it. So I just opened up my mind. And what someone did for me that really helped me was explain what an awakening is. Because I just thought one day people woke up and they were different, or they understood, but it's not that. It's little bitty things every day that you find out about yourself and about the universe, and how things really do flow. And it took it helped me when I realized that I wasn't doing anything wrong. I don't it's all coming. It just doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey.
Yes, that is beautiful. And yeah, and the awakening piece, it's little by little by little, and we keep following. I say we follow the breadcrumbs. It's like there's another one, or a book falls off a shelf, right? Or we hear a song, or someone comes into our life and says, try this harmonic egg instead of me going to this appointment, you try it, right? So it's
Yeah.
all of those little things that continue to add up. And you said the perfect word, it's being in the flow of life. It's just allowing what's meant to show up, and taking the step and doing it to see and experience it. And I think that is living a truly spiritual life, and just being a part of the mystery, right?
Yes. And it's very easy to close yourself off to all that, and just live your life. You do not have to ever really even question anything in your life if you don't want to. And it's a scary thing, but it's really fascinating and wonderful. And more people need to do it, because we're just living in too much stress. We're just living in way too much stress, and it really is affecting our health. It's everything is affecting our health, what we eat, what falls out of the sky, what the nutrients in our food, just everything. And so it is nice to do something positive and good for yourself.
Yes, most definitely. So tell us then a little bit about once you started doing the Psych K, and then were you seeing clients and then you found the egg, or were you in the Psych K studies and then you found the egg as well?
They were at the same time. They were at the same time. The problem with me opening and getting my egg is I did it in March of 2020.
Mhm.
So, very few people were coming in for Psych K on my first year open, but a lot of people were coming for the egg because I didn't close. And a lot of people had heard about it through Gaia Radio. It's really showing such wonderful things for people going through cancer recovery and just Parkinson's and autism. And there's just so many things that speak to people. So I was dealing with some people who needed the egg right away, that they found it called them. I had people come from Washington. I had more people come from out of state than anybody here in St. Louis because they didn't know about it. Somehow, it is a global company now. So
Right.
they were just hearing about it and they found me and I was open. And so that kind of started my journey the first year of being, I don't know, it was good. It was good. I experimented on myself most of the time because I had a metal shop. So I thought, okay, why don't I just do a heavy metal detox? So I started the protocol for heavy metal detox, and it's some nutritional things, some supplements, and it's a protocol of what light and sound that I go on. It's a 10 session protocol. And by the second time, I think it was my third session, I couldn't even see. I had so much floaties in my eyes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? My girlfriend's like, oh my gosh, it's screwing with your eyes. And I'm like, no, it's not. And so I look up in the medical medium, eye floaties, and it said a result of heavy metal detox. I'm like, it is working. It is so working. And so I got energized right away. It was life altering for so many people that were coming in for pain and anxiety that I knew pretty soon off I made the right decision.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
and go back just for a second, because you told me that you knew after all these things happened in your life that you had not found joy, or you weren't feeling happy, or
Right.
so tell us a little bit about that, because you went in the egg and you knew something was different. Just tell us a little bit. And
Yeah,
everybody, it's called the harmonic egg. So just so they know, it's called the
I
harmonic.
know. We all say the egg, the egg. I went to a Eastern doctor. I wanted help with anxiety. I wanted help with, I had a weird like growth on my foot that was so painful. I didn't know what was it. So my girlfriend goes to him and she takes tea. He makes tinctures for her. My other girlfriend goes to him for weight loss and different things that he was helping them with. And they talked so highly of him. I couldn't wait to go. I got the payment together and made the appointment. I had to wait a couple weeks. I finally went and he took a look at me. He says, I can't help you until you find joy. I mean, he knew right off I needed to find joy. And so then I set out to, heal myself. I can't tell other people that it works if it didn't work on me. is how I kind of looked at it. So yeah, I started doing the egg and started setting my intention to be uh, I mean, it's not a magic pill, nothing is, but you can set your intention to not be so anxious about things, or to go back to when things made more sense to you, or intention's a powerful thing. And so I would just go in the egg and I would almost just pray the whole time. I I am a magnet for people that I can help. I have no problem discussing the benefits of the egg and how powerful they are. And so I just started saying intentions, and I did. Joy started coming back into my life with the help of a lot of people and a lot of advice. It wasn't just me on my own, but it was an eye-opening doctor's appointment to be sent away to say there's nothing you can do if you're just this sad. There was nothing he could do for me. And wow, if I would have went to a regular doctor, I would have came out with a bunch of prescriptions. And even some of my family were like, you need to go on medicine. And it's like, no, I don't. I know it's in me. I know it's in me. And so then it kind of came a mission to tell other people that they have it in them too. That if you have PTSD, you don't have to live with that. You can clear that trauma out of your body, clear it out of your cells. Like we're 90% water, something 70% water. So the vibration in the egg really does hit you at a cellular level, as you know. Yeah.
Yeah. As I have experienced, and I'll get to that in just a few more minutes. But do you feel like during some of these times, and you go through a training, right, to get certified in the egg and how to use it? I was listening to some stuff about it in the last few days, but do you feel like any of your, what we call shadow, came up during your Psych K training or going through the egg, where something after you worked with these modalities, things would come up and visit you and say like, okay, this is coming out, or you cried, or you did something that triggered a feeling to come forward, and then you'd released it? Did you notice any of that while you were doing these trainings?
I noticed a lot of releasing, because I released probably every time I went in there. I would try to release something, just because the memory is a hard thing to let go of, and I did not want to be a victim. I did not want to be the person whose husband left and she never recovered. I just didn't. I wanted to thrive. So that really motivated me to try my best to release a lot in the egg. But I would make notes, and I work with a partner on Psyche. And so I'll make the notes and I'll be like, okay, I need to work on this. I need to work on this. This makes sense now. So when I would do my shadow work, I was looking for specifics on how to fix it. And I have the luxury to use the egg twice a week. And so, yes, I would come out of there and quick make notes. Okay, now I need to release this. This makes sense. This part of me, maybe that's why I'm procrastinating, or maybe that's why I'm not so confident in public settings. I mean, like, being out in the public like this was not what I had imagined when I imagined the egg. I imagined I would bring it, people would come because it's so magical. And we're just so crazy busy that we don't feel our magic anymore. And crazy busy is a defense mechanism. It's not good to be like that. You have to calm down. You have to center yourself to actually make a decision, to make a good decision. It helps to calm your mind down. That's why meditation is so powerful. But I would come out of the egg and just make notes of what I needed to. In Psyche, we call it a balance. So what I needed to balance for. And I mean, the last year has been pretty intense for me as far as, no, I don't want to feel that feeling. I don't want to not go to a networking event because, talking in front of people is not my comfort zone. We're all people. So yes, I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. And, and all I do, it's so cool because I just say, okay, God, I need help with this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of kicking me and I don't know how to do this. And I'll meet somebody and I'll be like, what do you do? And they'll do that same thing. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, you cannot deny after it happens over and over that there's just something more to it. That is the universe helping you.
Yes. Well, and that's because you're serving humanity. And so tell us who you do serve. And I know that, just to interject here for a second, about, like I was asking you today, do you work with children? Because my sister I have teenagers that I want to bring, and she has, tweens / young teenagers. So tell us the age range of people that the egg can help.
There's really no age. There's no age range. Like if the child's young, they can go in with their mother, which is just a wonderful thing to do because you start getting in sync with each other in there. So that's really cool. But no, it is, as long as the child can kind of sit still. That's the problem. At certain ages, they just have such a hard time sitting still. And there's other ways that you can do the egg for smaller children, though. Even I had a woman bring her daughter in as a treat, as a birthday treat for her, but she had to hold the baby, and the baby, all it would do is scream. Oh, it would fuss. It wanted its mother. All we had to do was be like at the door, and the baby was calm. She'd move the baby out to the little sitting area, and it would start screaming. Would bring the baby back to where it could hear the music. It just sat there and played. It was the coolest thing. It just, everyone just needs a little, it just is a reboot of your nervous system. And, even children, they go through that fight or flight. They get so uptight about things, and it's good for them to learn how to release it too.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Because they start getting all kinds of issues then if they hold everything in.
So tell us too. So besides, we know now who you serve any age. What is the egg? Like, explain a little bit about what is the egg and how it works.
So the egg is based on sacred geometry. So it's a dodecahedron, and it is a 12-sided structure that is made mostly of wood. And the most fascinating thing about wood is that it does not hold energy from the person who comes in before you. So, there's not a whole lot of EMFs. There's no EMFs. There's just very low lighting. And it's just a simple design of speakers. The egg structure has a door that opens, that slides open, and inside there is a chair. And so you sit in a zero gravity chair, which means that your feet are level. When I tilt you back, your feet are level with your heart. And that just takes so much stress off your body. And so you will sit and listen to music that puts you into a meditative state. And there's a little interview, but most of the time, the first time you're coming in is just a gentle reset of your nervous system. You have to try to get it back to neutral, I guess, or balance. Just so you're sitting in there for 40 minutes, and you're relaxing in the zero gravity chair, listening to the music, and you really can feel the frequency in there, and you can feel the vibration in there, and it really does put your body into a relaxed state. And it's just an amazing experience, because in there you can release and let go. You can let your body do what it's intended to do, which is tapping into your healing ability,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so, yes, you are sitting in this wooden chamber, listening to music for 40 minutes. Then the music will go off, and then you are in there for 10 minutes in silence. And the silence is a little intimidating at first, but most people just seem to really, really love it. You can just feel the vibration and the frequency kind of settle into your body. It kind of makes you feel more solid, and it really, people do not know how to sit in silence, and it's really rejuvenating to sit in silence for 10 minutes, because we don't do it hardly ever.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
And I will share too. So when I went, I was exhausted and I thought that I was going to fall asleep. So my whole thing was like, I'm going to get in this egg and I'm going to take a nap. And I meditate all the time, and I do lots of kinds of meditation. I do walking meditation at the park with nothing on and just being in nature. But I also do guided meditation, and I've done music meditation, many, many kinds. But once you put me in there, and it's bigger than I thought. It really is. And what came to me after I left, and when I was listening to the woman who created it, it was like being in a womb, right? Being in a womb. It was not fully dark. It was, you put green light on and you put purple light on for me. And I swore that there was a speaker over my head, and that there was a waterfall like coming, because I was really focused above myself instead of on the sides, even though with my eyes I had seen the sides of the egg. But I thought for sure I'd fall into like a coma of sleep and wake up and be so rejuvenated with the rest. I didn't sleep at all. I went into my zone, and I was in a meditation, but I didn't even realize it, because I thought I was just, I don't know. And when you came back, I was like, that was 50 minutes. No way. It was like 5. I mean, it felt like 5 minutes of me.
Yeah.
And at one point, I know you heard me, because there's a doorbell on the chair, but I was coughing and you heard me coughing. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to wreck my session. I'm going to have to get a drink of water, because it felt like a really dry cough. But it was what we both agreed was a clearing on my throat chakra, even though there was no light on but you put me on the gentle one, because I feel like, I was vomiting so much stuff. I want to work on this. I want to work on this. And, it was just fascinating for me to come out of it. And what I felt was I didn't feel tired anymore. I felt very relaxed, and I felt like happy, and I just felt calm and peaceful. And then yesterday I had the most wonderful day, and I felt like I was integrating and processing what had happened the day before. And that's why, I know they recommend you only go every 5 to 7 days, because there's a processing period. And what else I heard the lady who created the egg say is that a lot of times it's good to just maybe do this modality and not try to do so many things, because that's how I can get, where I'm doing all these different things to try to heal myself, but just doing the egg is very powerful.
Yes, you can overdo it. You can overdo energy work. And people don't realize that some, acupuncture and some massage and Reiki and all that's energy work. And you want what you're doing to work and to have time to integrate in. And yeah, people do kind of say, okay, it's my self-care day, and they schedule 4 things. It's like, well, I don't know. That's a little much for your body.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and
go ahead. What were you going to say?
no, I was going to say, and you found that out. Like you actually felt that because because you are in tuned with energy work. If you know what it feels like, and it is empowering. There is something in there that puts you into that meditative state, right? What, above consciousness, or I don't know what that spot is, that the theta delta place, but it is the neatest feeling when you can get there and come out of it. You're like, wow, my body feels so fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And that's trying to get rid of that pain cycle. Get rid of that. Pain causes stress causes pain. It's we really, if we can calm our mind down and let our body heal. But we get so stressed out when we're sick, and we get so stressed out with everything in life sometimes, that it is hard to always say stress, but it's there. And it really, you do not want it to turn on disease, because the body doesn't know disease by name. It just knows it's sick. Mm-hmm. So, it's a really holistic way to help your body, along with nutrition, along with exercise. It's just a tool. It's just a wonderful tool to use with all these other, with chiropractor, with talk therapy. It's such a good tool to open you up and really get you thinking about, what do I believe, and how do I want to live my life. And
yeah. And 2 things I was going to say. One is that you had said it helps people with focus. And I feel like I have an issue with focus. I'm one of these people that is doing, and I'm just high energy. And I feel like yesterday my focus was different. And on top of that, I told you that my knee has been bothering me. The outsides of my IT bands have been really bad the last few years. And I'm having no issue for now 2 days in my right IT band. And that's the one that I told you was really bothering me. So that's cool. And then the other piece is, I asked you when I was sitting down and we were talking, why like headphones aren't enough. Because I do a lot of guided meditation, and you said a lot of times people don't have the high quality to get that type of frequency, but the egg is giving you color healing, it's giving you sound, it's giving you frequency, vibration. Did I miss anything?
No, and you cannot take the sacred geometry out of it.
Right.
And it is such a spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. There is such a mind, body, spirit connection to the egg that you do not take it out, because it's the most fabulous part of it, is the magic part of it. And yes, it is the frequencies that you can feel in there, that really, I think, is what makes it so much more special. But I will say that we, in the egg, the egg is patented. The egg is very strategic. I'm not just picking a song here or there and lights here or there. It's all targeted. It's all, sound healing's been around forever. It's easy to there's been many studies on how it affects people, but we are up to, I think, 1200 hertz in there. So you're not only you're hearing the lower drumming, the didgeridoo, I mean, all that stuff that is creating frequency that is almost like kind of grinding stress out of you, but you're also getting the really high, and the highest frequency is love, and so we're in the egg, you're hearing 1200 hertz, and you don't hear that on YouTube, and you don't hear that in a lot of the headphones.
Right.
So
Right. And the sacred geometry. I mean, that's so amazing. That's
yeah,
just, I don't think I've been in anything like that. That sacred geometry. It's phenomenal. It's like so many of these tools in one egg. And well, I'm just going to say you got to experience it. And I want to ask you, and I'm probably already know your answer on this. My last question I ask all my guests. Well, oh, I forgot to ask you, where do we find you? So give us your website and give us that information, how people can book you and things like that.
well, my website is harmonicegstl.com. If anyone wants information like you did, YouTube's just full of people who are just loving the egg and really kind of can help you if you're that researcher kind of person. But I am in St. Peter's, and I'm off of Jungerman Road in 1365 Triad Center. It's in Little Industrial Park. I'm in with another sound healer who does singing bowls and a chiropractor. And my email address is cindy.harmony6 at Gmail, and you can send me an email. Pretty easy to get a hold of, I hope. If anyone's having trouble getting a hold of me, let me know. But yes, if you Google Harmonic Egg STL, I hope I pop up.
Yeah, and there's only 100 eggs in the world, right?
I'm number 18.
You're number 18. Okay.
They're setting up the egg in New Zealand now. There's one on their way to Peru. There's a couple going to Maui, a couple eggs. There's going to be a couple eggs at the lake of the Ozarks.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, people are just finding out that there are other ways.
Right.
There are other ways. There's holistic. There are a lot of tools out there that we can use, and the community's growing. And so it's exciting to see the eggs growing. They're all through Canada now. They're growing through Europe, and we're really conscious of not putting too many close together because we want everyone to experience them. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
And how many years has the egg? When did she formulate the egg?
I think 2017.
Okay, so it's been out like 5 years.
Yes. Well, she worked with light and sound before, and it was shaped like a box. And she knew a lot of things. Like, she really is an amazing woman, but she knew it had to be made out of wood. She knew the wood was the key to the egg. As far as no metal, no plastic, nothing artificial, So she set out to have it built. I know it took her a couple years and a lot of people telling her she was crazy, but every piece of music in our library, I don't know how many songs we have, way over 100 songs that are all prayed over, intentional for healing this particular issue that you have. So everything in there is very sacred.
Right. Well, and I heard her interview.
Feel it.
Yeah. Oh, you can totally feel it. And I heard her interview on Gaia. So if anybody wants to hear about certain instruments work on certain ailments, right? Like the flute she was talking about, the violin, the piano. So it's so interesting. And I've heard of music therapy, just music therapy, right? I had a guy teaching my daughter piano who was going to do music therapy at a retirement center. So it's just, and I love music, so I know how powerful that is. But It's just amazing. We could talk about it for hours. To end, Cindy, I would like to know, and I probably already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What is the most important self-care practice you implement in your life, and how can you ignite the inner fire of others to try it?
Well, I would say, I mean, I can't live without my egg. My egg calls me. Like, yeah. That doesn't mean I don't love going to sound baths and I don't love a Reiki session. I mean, I just it's hard for me because I have that right there. But I would say stay curious. Stay curious. There are so many amazing people out there doing amazing things.
Mhm.
Look what you're doing. You're doing amazing things. So, um, yeah, I would say stay curious.
That's great.
Be resilient. Be resilient. If there's something that isn't flowing in your life, you can figure it out. There are people that will help you. And like if I have something that I need help with, I know I can ask you, and you have a library of people to help, to refer me to, and to help with anything. So it does take a village. It is really, really a wonderful community of trying for all of us to live our best life.
Yes. Yes. All we have to do is ask. That's what I say.
Yes,
We
yes,
just have to ask and receive, right?
yes.
Ask and receive. And Spirit knew that when I met you that day just 2 weeks ago and you brought up this egg, I mean, bam, my awareness was just like I beeline to you after that meeting because I'm like, I need to know this lady. I need to talk to her. She's my kind of woman with
Yep.
with her healing modality, and it was awesome. I mean, and I had been looking for something that could help me focus a little bit, and that was one of the things out of your mouth. You said it can help people focus, and I thought that is exactly what I need. And we talked about entities. I told you the other day that I thought maybe I had an entity attached to me, and only in the last 6 weeks have I really been like brushing it off and claiming my sovereignty, because I thought there might be. And you said you had an experience where you noticed black smoke come off of you in the egg.
Yes.
And that is unbelievable to me, because I'm serious. I was pretty sure there was an entity attached to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And so they do not like frequency,
mm,
especially high frequency. They're a low frequency, whatever.
yeah.
And yeah, and if you can put it in an environment of high frequency, it will leave.
Yeah, well, good. I'm going to be coming back. And
Yeah.
so I don't think there's any more entities attached to me, but
Nope.
if in case there are, they'll be gone. So
There
I,
we go. Yeah. Well, and we just know they're not welcome.
that's right. That's right. And there's a way to get them off. So
Yeah. Yes.
well, great. Well, this has been so much fun. And I just want to thank you for being here. And I also want to thank our listeners for participating with us today, watching on Facebook. We put this on Facebook. And on top of that, the ones who are listening, and remember to please rate, review, and subscribe to Phoenix Rising Podcast. I would love for more and more people to hear this podcast. It's been such a journey for me. And just to wrap up, I want to remind you all to live from your heart, and love will always find you.